Hello and welcome everybody, I am your humble host Gavin the Kitty, and today we are playing Mega Man 8 on the Mega Man Legacy Collection. Let me unmute the game here so you guys can hear it. How is everyone doing today? Let me see the chat. Hello Karmic, hello Dark Mega Man X85, and hello Demuler. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to let this intro play. I still have a little bit of a quesadilla left. I'm starting really late today. But how is everyone doing in chat? Today should move very smoothly compared to yesterday. If you watched for yesterday's Mega Man and Bass stream, you can go check it out. But Mega Man and Bass was one of the hardest Mega Man games. Now let's look at one of the most fair Mega Man games. Like, I'm not even kidding. This is probably my number 3 in terms of first to check outs. And it earns the title. It's got some beautiful graphics and some great stuff. Demuler says, he's good, how am I? I'm doing just fine. Skylar, welcome. I'm doing just fine. Just getting started with today's stream. This game is not going to take the wins out of me. There's lots of cutscenes. Lots of really well done cutscenes. With some really, really terrible voice acting. To the point where I actually had plans to redub this. And I had started, and we didn't finish. The case says, oh my god, he's back. Yeah, I'm back. So let's just start right up, and we've already got a cutscene. And we're going to have our first bit of mistranslation. So let's get into what this is. So Mega Man 8 continues from where Mega Man 5 for Game Boy left off, with a war in space and aliens. And these alien robots are fighting over evil energy. Seeing as the biggest source of that was destroyed, being Ra Moon, we're not going to be playing that right away. It's called, that's for another PlayStation game. Essentially, evil's on the ropes. But they're still powerful. But they hit each other so hard. The one got destroyed, and the other's coming in too hot to Earth's atmosphere. So... Dr.WAHWEE. Yeah, I figured most people would really like the Dr.WAHWEE reference in the title. Yeah, it's just me in terms of voice today. Karmic came home early, and he didn't seem too interested in joining. And Casey just seemed kind of out of it in terms of voice, so it's just me today, which is a-okay with me. But Casey will still be monitoring chat for me while I'm playing the game. And mistranslation. So this game's translation was done on a shoestring budget, so they didn't fact check to make sure that his name was Bass, not Bass. The entire translation, the entire voice acting team here is merely... It's all just... translators of Capcom games, just like RE2 and 1, but it's also just English voice actors who were living in Japan at the time, which weren't many.
What is the problem?
So what do we have here? We have a fairly okay game. It's one that I'm going to have quite a bit to talk about, I'm sure.
I understand, Dr. Light. I'm on it.
Thank you, Megaman.
My quesadilla is really good.
Okay.
I'm eating a quesadilla over top of the game, I know. Shouldn't be doing that.
Ready.
On the plus side, we have an intro stage. So, taking a boat from the Mega Man X series, we have an intro stage that helps set up the game. Here on an uncharted island, clearly littered with wily bots and it's clearly one big test, and there's a couple references here that you'll get to see. But of course, that's where the robots landed, after they fought. Dr. Light's working on upgrades for Megaman in the background. And of course, our first of which comes here. Dr. Light is scouting ahead and checking on literally everything because there's this weird energy source out here. But along with that, a new weapon is ready. This is the Mega Ball, or the Rock Ball as it's called. It'll be our Rush Coil, it'll be our Rush Jet of sorts because you can actually do it in the air. It'll also be a primary attack for a little while. All in all, not bad. There's secrets galore in this game, by the way, so make sure to stay on the lookout. We will be trying to get all the bolts, or at least as many as I can. I'm going to show you where a few are here that most don't realize. Megaman can swim in this game. That is a first for the Mega Man series, aside from Mega Man 3 for DOS. But the DOS games aren't canon, so this is actually the first time Mega Man can swim, and it changes up the way you play underwater stages. In fact, I think it makes things worse. But you don't have to quote me on it. You can kind of feel for yourself. So, one jump is merely, you know, the same floaty physics we all know. But most of these sections that we're going to come to underwater, we're going to need to swim, you know, under the water. So, and that's all the bolts for the first intro stage. Casey says, Breath of the Wild Shrine, question mark, explanation point? Close. Wily Elevator. Of course, to go along with this, we still are equipped with the slide and the charge shot, just like in Mega Man and Base. We've got fun lighting effects when Mega Man shoots the Buster. So here's a fact about this game that very few people realize. Sony's main MO with the PlayStation was that there could not be 2D games on the PlayStation. Capcom said, well, if we can't make 2D titles, we're not going to support the platform. So that's what they did. While Mega Man and Mega Man 8 was in development, it had Sony laid an ultimatum. Okay, we'll let you have your 2D side-scrolling titles. However, you have to be the first. And if you're not the first, then we don't want it. And if you don't have extra content compared to a Saturn port, we don't want it. So Mega Man 8 on the PlayStation is unfinished in 3 ways. But we'll get to them as we play. I actually have a Saturn version of the game, so I could show off the differences if I wanted to. However, I don't have a Sega Saturn on me. I'm waiting on my Poly Mega to show up still, so somebody tell them to get on that. But how is the chat doing today? I hope the chat's doing well. So what did PlayStation get that was extra from the Saturn? It got a little booklet that said, that on the first print copies of the game, that showed off the Robot Masters from all 7 previous entries. That was it. Nothing more. Wasn't a deep, comprehensive guide, especially because Mega Man 8 was released for an anniversary year. So, like, I don't get it. It was 10 years at that point. There's my completed file. There are 40 bolts in total. I believe it's 41-ish in, 41 or 39 in the Saturn version. We can go back to that intro stage at any point in time, so you don't have to worry about missing out. And we can also go to Dr. Light's shop and, you know, get parts. Hello, Foxino, welcome. But right up the top, we have Tengu Man, Clown Man, Grenade Man, and Frost Man. And all of these are voice acted, so let's just jump right into Tengu. Voice acting is weird. Cutman is on Megaman. Yeah, I will get to Cutman and Woodman eventually. That is an interesting development of sorts. I don't know what's up with the retracted messages. I think YouTube's just being buggy today or something. But if anybody has any other factoids they'd like to give out, feel free to. My first factoid here is that Tengu Man actually is one of the Robot Masters with 3 stage themes. This never happens again. We're gonna get that bolt. I want the bolt. We're gonna get it. There we go. We're also going to get some parts that are going to speed things up and make things a little easier for ourselves. But for now, we're just going to stick with base Mega Man. So just like in previous games, we can use the L and R buttons to switch our weapons. We can pause it and check out the pause screen, but over here we can also check out different shots, different rushes, and different power-ups. There are no E-tanks in this game, but that doesn't hold it back, because even though there is no helpful features like E-tanks, we get equally helpful items like Eddie. You get the Eddie Call, you can get things like Rush Search. There's all sorts of good stuff. Speaking of changes, instead of Rush Jet, we have Rush Jet sections where they basically turn Mega Man into a shoot 'em up, and I really like these. I really like how these turned out. You get these little party balls in the screen that'll give you new characters like Beat. And Beat's helpful because his hitbox is always active. He will always fly forward if you use a charge shot, and he will always try to guard in front of enemies. But he generally lags behind a little bit, so you kind of got to be... But he chases after charge shots, so it can be helpful. Depending on how you do, the next capsule will appear. Here's Rush, he does a triple shot, so now we can get a little more coverage. It doesn't really matter what we get in this first section, because there's a loading screen in between. That's right, some of these stages have loading screens in the middle of them, and they don't carry over your power-ups. So, it'll be interesting to show that off, because I want to show off all of the different guys, because you can also get Otto and Eddie. Let me read the chat real fast. Well, that's a little rude, Foxino. The pause transition is just moi, blasissimo. That's nice. Glad you like it, Casey. And Floppy Zenny says, you're doing good, just cooking. Nice. Unprofessional as heck. Yeah. I'd say that manager is definitely unprofessional. So here's Otto. He shoots a cannon. Otto is, of course, one of the shop owner for Dr. Light's shop. He runs the shop, not owns the shop, but he also has his own place called Big Eddie's, which is essentially a knockoff department store of Dr. Light's shop. But hey, it's all good. Now we have Beat. Beat, once again, is the most useful one of them all, and I think that our best bet next is going to be trying to get Eddie. So if you take more damage, another friend does show up. So essentially, if you are struggling with the stage here, don't fret. Things can get easier. Up here's a Bolt, but we need Astro Crush, and Astro Man is part of the second half of this game. As you can see, we could just take care of all of that, and then we can just come up here and let our partners take care of that. And that's how it's done. I didn't get to show off Eddie, but there's going to be one other section in the game where we're going to get to show that off, so luckily we're in the second half. Special weapons for this game refill upon loading screen. That's right. Whereas in Mega Man and Base, they didn't refill hardly at all. Here it refills every time there's a loading screen, and most stages are split up in 2 halves, especially if there's a mid-boss, so This bubble gimmick here is really interesting for Tengu Man. It never returns, but it's still really, really cool. I really like it, at least. I would like to see it in Mega Man 12 if they ever get around to it. If chat has any questions for the game, that would be great. We're going to try to get all the votes, or at least show them off. There's that. The wind here can be a little treacherous. Of course, I don't have a reverse because we are playing on the, or rewind, because we don't have, we're not playing on an emulator. We are playing on the Mega Man Legacy Collection, which is possibly your best bet for just experiencing the game before trying out any of the Saturn version exclusive stuff. But what the Saturn adds are 2 bosses, a different track for Tengu Man, and a few extra frames of animation here and there. And I think it removes a bolt. It either adds or removes a bolt. I do not remember. Regardless, it's interesting to see how the game could have been different if Sony would have given them more time to actually complete the game. Because once other devs started hearing that, oh, they're finally allowing 2D games, it was a rush to see who could get out the first 2D platformer. And Mega Man was the first 2D platformer on the PlayStation, which is pretty impressive. Here you might have some troubles with Tornado Man. Don't worry about him too much. He's not that big of a threat. He doesn't deal much damage. However, if you are having issues, just time a good kick. Because that right there can hit him right up in the air no matter what. So I've got a couple stories with this game. I played this originally on the Mega Man Anniversary Collection, and that is the worst way to play this game. It has input lag. Legacy Collection 2 is your best bet right now, but regardless, I think it's really interesting how much input lag can actually affect a game like this, especially because you won't notice it at first. Because the game's got so many frames of animation, it looks so pretty, it can be hard to tell when, if the character's taking the action on time or not, because they've got so many extra frames. The goal of this game was just to look pretty. They wanted to make this game look gorgeous, and I completely see why. Like, this game looks amazing. But it does come at the downfall of some of the gameplay aspects, which we'll get to, but it doesn't hinder it to the point where I'm personally upset. Next up is Clown Man here. Once again, there were very few voice actors for this game, so please bear with them, and none of them were voice actors, by the way. All of them were localizers and translators. Especially Mega Man's voice actor, who actually translated RE2. So that's, in this game, Mega Man's voice actor translated Mega Man 2, which is really cool. Here we have some really interesting callbacks. We have we have Iceman plushies, Cutman plushies, Guts Tank from Mega Man 7, little Stegosauruses from Mega Man 7, these Beaker Birds, and of course, hiding in the rough is these worm enemies. So, as well as in the background, we can see the Pumpkin mid-boss from Mega Man 7 with a whole new sprite, as well as the Whale mid-boss from Mega Man 4 and the car from Mega Man 7, specifically the truck. Now, right over here is a bolt. I'm going to try to get it with this, but if it doesn't work, we're going to have to come back with, we're going to have to come back with Rush Coil. Or, not Rush Coil, Rush Bike. Because they give Rush new forms to show that, yes, in fact, the Ruby Spears Cannon cartoon did have that right. Rush can turn into basically anything. Oh boy. That render Megaman looks awesome. The voice is not fit. Does Clown Man tell jokes? He kinda does. Clown Man is a joke. Clown Man is neat. I like Clown Man's fight, personally. If you notice that we're taking trivia a little bit slower today, that's because that's the way this game is paced. It's actually paced at a reasonable talking level, to where I don't find it nearly as hard to give out all my trivia. So if Mega Man and Bass's difficulty on the last few stages turned you off, don't worry, this Mega Man 8 is where it's at. Especially in terms of music. This music is the most chill vibe ever. Here we have a gimmick with the last stage's gimmick with the wind. Here it is, these guys in the background. They will toll the bell, and you have to be standing on either a O or an X. O is for okay, X is for not at all. The X's will damage you, and in the later half of the stage, we'll see some different things. Here's our first mid-boss. We saw this guy in Mega Man and Bass, but he's a lot easier here because he's not destroying platforms. Also, the ball does different damage techniques depending on if it's in the air or not, if I remember correctly. So you want to kick it into him. The ball is going to be the major weakness for most of the mid-bosses. Of course, I haven't shown off Tornado Hold, and there it is. You can use Tornado Hold the platform if you're a little new at the game. You can just kind of ride it on up, which can really help. Each of the mid-bosses give you something in this game, and this is something I wish they would have kept. So, for beating this mid-boss, we get Rush Question, which will call down Rush, and he will give you a random item. You can use him once per level. And while I'm spitting all these facts at you guys, I would like to do my one bit of shilling here right now, while some people are still watching. If you could like and subscribe the video, it helps us out with the algorithm and gets YouTube to recommend the channel to more people. It would be awesome if you could do that. If not, it's okay. Just enjoy the vid either way. So these skull blocks will drop you right through them, and this one will take you backwards through the stage. So be wary of those icons. We'll see a room later on where we actually have to go backwards to go forwards. It'll be interesting. Trust me. Now we have the Horror House of Fun. These skull platforms that rise and lower. These pirate bandits that are meant to scare you. And of course, you might be thinking, well, how do I get up there? The ball. The ball is your rush coil. Use it as such. We need Swordman's weapon for that bolt over there. We will be coming back for all bolts, but I would like to show them off. Here's a tricky bit of platforming. That platform will always drop out from underneath you. Green ones will stay still, and orange ones will rise. Or maybe they're a bit more yellow. It's all up to what you're thinking of here. As you can see, these guys hanging on hooks. With Clownman's weapon, we'll actually be able to grab onto that point and then swing across. But I will get to show that off way more in Searchman's stage. That will be the biggest hassle of a bolt that we will collect today. Sniper Joe here is actually a new Sniper Joe variant. He can throw a grenade. I really love its animation with the eye, and I think this game, in terms of animation, is top-notch. All the funniest thing, Tornado Hold needs more like a Gyroman weapon. I don't mind Tornado Hold as it is, but it is not my favorite weapon. As you can see here, the question mark blocks will take you all over the place, and it is your job to figure out where you're going. The pattern's really easy once you realize that they don't change. I believe this is the one I need to go into for the secret. Nope, maybe it's this one. Or maybe it's on one of the ones below. Yep, here it is. So here's the secret. So the icons do not stop flashing once they've started, so you gotta kinda sorta be quick. I'm having a terrible time trying to time my ball presses. If you're having trouble with the ball, don't worry, because you've already got Tornado Hold. So if you're struggling there with that, you can actually use this to help you along with that. And that's all the ways that the X-Blocks can hurt you, by the way. Just the Honeycomb from Mega Man 3 and the Punch from below. It'll always take, that question block will always take you back to the platform that you've already been on. Luckily, the answer for this one isn't super tough to find. You don't want to stay on this screen for too long, though, because that will drop you down. And right in here, we are at the boss. Now, if you watch the background here, that's actually the Dr.WAHWEE logo made out in bricks, which is really cute. If you die, you respawn right here, but none of these plushies return, so keep that in mind. Tornado Holden looks more like a Gyro Man weapon. I think I already read that one off. And Puppy Zenny says, I'm excited to go for dinner. What are you having, if you don't mind me asking?
What are you doing?
Alright. Up we go. And this is how you damage... This is how you damage... Clown Man. A lot of people think Clown Man's creepy. I actually don't. I kind of like this design. I think it's a bit cute. Not my favorite in the classic series, but certainly not a bad one. I get how the digging the hands under the ground to grab onto your ankles is really creepy. I think they went with a more horrific clown design. He's one of the bosses for the design contest. That's something I don't think I've really referenced very much, except for last time, is the boss design contest. So starting with Mega Man 2, they allowed fans to create and design bosses for a contest. It is well known that these contests often got really huge. Mega Man 6 was the only time they actually branched out to the whole world, and they got so many entries, they could have filled up at least 100 games. To go alongside that, Mega Man 8 decided to restrict the contest winners. They were given skeletons of robots, so one with long arms, one with two halves, and I believe it was one with two heads. And from that, they got different designs. Some people still submitted standard designs, which turned into Aquaman, if I remember correctly, and Tengu Man, if I remember correctly, as well as Frostman. But Clown Man was one of the winners, and his art piece is really pretty. I love the original beta design for Clown Man. I think it's really cool. They go with the more masquerading clown from like the early century. So from there, from Clown Man, we're gonna go straight over to Grenade Man. So. Grenade Man's probably got my favorite voice in the game, just because he is so energetic and so dead. It's kind of a weird mix of both. He's like trying to be excited and also trying to hold it back, and I can never tell. I can never tell what he's trying to do. Here we've got these exploding bomb platforms. We saw them a little bit in Dynamo Man stage in Mega Man and Bass. However, here, I think they look better. To go alongside with me kind of talking about the Mega Man and Bass problem, I gotta say, this game, by virtue of simply having more screen real estate, not a whole lot, not much, but having more screen real estate off the left and right of Mega Man, really does help the game design. Here's the next bit. This is going to be for our next bolt. So the trick here, if I remember correctly, is we want to get in there. If we drop that down, we should have enough clearance to slide. Nope. Okay. Back over to the left. And just like that, we got a bolt. We have these timer bomb platforms. We'll see them all throughout the series. We saw them a little bit in Mega Man 10, but they did not first appear there, so the more you know. Armored Core news says, welcome to this classic game. Excited for Armored Core, perhaps? I am not excited for Armored Core. Sorry, I'm not into that series. However, I'm glad you're excited for it. I will give it a shot though if fans pester me enough with it. I'm sure I will. I'll try. No guarantee that it'll be on the channel, but I'll try. However, I do really like Megaman a lot, and we're playing through the series as lead up to the Megaman Battle Network Legacy Collection. We're working our way in reverse as a countdown of sorts. We're going to be ending with Megaman The Wily Wars, and then we'll pick up the rest of the series later. And here's our next boss. This guy will give us not Rush Jet. Why do I keep wanting to say Rush Jet? Rush Bike. It's a motorcycle of sorts. Of course, we can get rid of that icon there. He does you do the most damage with the ball. However, don't be scared to use other weapons, because since they refill every single time there's a loading screen, you don't have to be too worried, because every mid-boss is before a load screen. I don't know what the reasoning behind this is, but the load screen's stuck in even for the Saturn version of this game. However, I do think it's completely doable without the load screens, so...
Hello, Gavin.
Hi, welcome.
I thought I might as well join in then. Like, just try, you know?
Okay, well, I didn't have audio balance set up for that, so...
I'm sorry.
Welcome, Casey. Go ahead and talk.
I'm talking. I'm doing an audio test.
There you go.
Dragon.
Audio test is done. You're good to go.
Sorry about that. I am so sorry.
No, you're fine. If you could keep an eye on chat, that would still help.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do.
The mic does sound quite a bit better than the previous one. By the way.
It does. Thank you. Xavier says, "Hey, Gavin Dragon, you got every game?"
Got every game. Yeah, I have all the Mega Man games. Yes, I do. Well, close. I think there's only 2 or 3 titles I don't have. There's little Fireman Mets. There were other ones designed for this game. However, the Fire Mets were the only ones that made it in. So... you want to keep them away from the wicks for as long as possible. And then once they cover up the wicks, we want to run as far away as we can. Except for this one, because we need it to progress. You may have seen a gimmick like this in Blast Man stage in Mega Man 11, where it was used to much greater effect.
I think it's a really cool gimmick, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that Matt's Mega Man 8's one downside. It doesn't play with the gimmicks too much. These swinging hammers, we saw them once, and this is the last time we'll see them because the boss door is right around the corner.
Wow.
We got the exploding platforms one time, and... yeah.
Nicholas Max just came in and said hello. They asked,
welcome.
Do you prefer Classic or Mega Man X?
Okay, that is a tough question. I like all the Mega Man games. I'm gonna be honest. I have 100%ed X7 and X6 more times than I should have. Let me just start by saying that. But I do play Classic quite a bit more. It's hard to say. I like Zero, I like Legends, I like them all. I don't know. Which one does chat like more? Casey, which one do you like more?
That's a very good question. I really don't know, because I had such a great time playing Mega Man X1. But I do really enjoy playing 10 a lot. This is a tough question. I don't think I'll be able to answer it either.
That's fair. Good question, though, Nicholas. Welcome to the channel.
Now, if we are to put it in perspective of all Mega Man, it would probably be Star Force or Battle Network.
That's fair. I like Battle Network a lot. Zenith, welcome. Welcome. But Nicholas Max, that was a fantastic question. I like questions like that. That make me really think. We're at 14 viewers right now, so for everybody who's just stopping in, thank you so much. Feel free to drop a like and sub, all that jazz.
Skylar asks, out of all the Mega Man games you played, what is your favorite?
I love 11. 11's probably my favorite. But Battle Network 6 ain't far behind. Mega Man 6 is still amazing. I love the look here of Mega Man 8. The X games are fantastic. I love X8 and Maverick Hunter X respectively. I think I have to give it to Mega Man Powered Up for just having the most content, the most polished game, like, design, feel. And I know it's a PSP title, I know it's a bit hard to play right now, but it's a really good game, and I would love to see Powered Up actually get more expensive in the collecting market just because it is a good game. But that's just my personal recommendations there. Casey, I know you've heard me talk a lot about these games.
Yeah, I have.
But which one do you think you prefer?
In terms of classic?
Yeah, just in terms of classic.
In terms of classic, 10. Actually, 10 is my favorite.
Gotcha.
10 or 4. 4 is like a really close second.
Alright, so this is the infamous jump, jump, slide, slide. There is a gimmick and trick to this. We're gonna see it more later on. If you're standing right about where I'm at on screen right now, the jump, jump, slide, slide will never trip you up because you will always need to jump on the middle portion in between the jump, jump. So right about there. If you're back here, you need to wait till both. If you're up front, you need to go instantly the minute you hear it. And that is the gimmick for jump, jump, slide, slide. It's not as hard as what you think. We are going to be back to this stage, so don't worry about the bolt that we missed there in the stage.
Zenny just sent me a picture of the food they made. It looks delicious.
Lovely. It seems like we've got more questions coming in.
Let me see here. Zenna says, I have not watched any of your streams in a long time.
Well, welcome. I've done a few uploads since I think the last time you've been in. I did 2 Ultimate Guides to Mega Man, which is actually kind of what this is a follow-up to. But this is also meant to be build up and hype for the Battle Network games.
Yes.
I know that we have a lot of Sonic fans who joined the channel recently, from last year. Not to worry, we will be continuing the Sonic franchise too. I do have a few games that are left. There's a little secret, you can destroy the ice block with another ice block. There's lots of little puzzles like that. I think that one's really fun. I do wish they would use these a little more, but they're still really cool.
Let's be honest, platforming puzzles are really good.
Oh yeah.
Like, puzzles and platformers are really good. Alright, so Skylar says, also Gavin, I've been enjoying every stream I've seen since I've been back talking with you. I thank you again. Is my behavior being good on your streams?
Yeah, it's been adequate, but there's no need to bring it up. If I'm not saying anything, that's a good thing. Take that.
Xavier says, my question for Mega Man is, which game what are the rankings you would put your games in, your favorite games?
Oh, that's a tough one too. I think it would have to go 11, 10, Powered Up.
Oh no, that poor vet. Sorry.
8. I don't know how to rank these games. Tell you guys what, if you guys want a ranking video, I will make a ranking video for the entire Mega Man franchise as part of the Ultimate Guide. It'll be like an extra bonus Part 4 video to just go the extra mile and show support for you guys watching that.
Fluffy Zenny reacted to a question, or what I said earlier about their food, and I said it's good. Skylar says they played Mega Man in the Mario crossover game.
Oh, yeah. Super Mario crossover. We recently got that working. We got 3.0 working again. On actual Flash. So, I'm able to play it, but it does lag after a certain amount of time. There's hidden items in this snow section here. I want to bring up something before this stage ends. This background. This is my favorite background in any Mega Man game.
I don't blame you.
The
It's
way
pretty.
it transitioned from evening to night, it took us the whole night to get to the ice plant. It took us all night. And the lights in the background, you get close to the city billboards. It's just so pretty. And they do a remixed version of this for Mega Man X4 to show that X4 is actually... This is the city from X4. This one gets destroyed in that horrible accident, which we'll get to in the series, but either way, it's still so pretty.
I'm gonna be real, you seem to be a sucker for dynamic backgrounds, just like Stone Man's background in Mega Man 11.
Blockman. Yeah, no, I love...
Blockman, excuse me.
I love storytelling through stage design and art design as a whole. And I think you can do a lot of really interesting stuff with the Mega Man stage design. So this is Grenade Man's weapon. It flies straight forward at kind of a slower arc than your Buster, but it hits constantly for every frame it can. And here it stuns Frostman. I have done all of these bosses Buster only before, so they are not impossible to do Buster only. So if you're struggling with this stage or this game, take a breather and relax, because this game really is more laid back than most of the Mega Man games I've ever played.
Zenny says on actual Flash, that's cool.
Yeah, I have an older version of Flash that I still keep around for little party tricks and things. I downloaded it years ago and have been running it ever since. Don't tell Adobe.
Goofy Goober says Frostman more like torture.
Frostman's not hard. We did that stage no problem.
Dr. Light.
Once again, I recommend this game as like somebody's third or fourth Mega Man game. The voice acting is not good. In fact, we're probably going to talk over most of the voice acting. Mega Man 11's voice acting is the canon voice acting, in my opinion. That and Powered Up. So this is just a shame. Especially because the animation here is really good, and recently some fans have been working to remaster all of the PlayStation cutscenes. So...
That is pretty.
It is. It's just, it looks so good.
I really wish the Ruby Spears cartoon actually looked like what the pilot looked like.
Yeah, that would be really interesting. But this bot here is known as Duo. And we're going to come to our first change in between the PlayStation and the Saturn version, other than a music change. So Duo here, this is a new body for that destroyed robot we found on Wily's Island. And it's finally fully repaired. Dr. Light wasn't paying attention, he was focused more on the energy and walked out with Mega Man. Wily sent out those reprogrammed those first 4 bots. But these next 4 are... 2 of them are his design, 2 of them are reprogrammed. But not just reprogrammed, they're using the evil energy collected from the robot.
He still lives.
We're gonna get into what evil energy is in a bit, but for now, just know Duo doesn't like evil energy. And it gets worse in Battle Network, if you've ever played that series.
Oof.
Yeah, it's a little more scary in Battle Network, especially Battle Network 4. But now we have our first mid-stage. This is a staple I really want them to stick. I would love to see the four Robot Masters at the start, 4 Robot Masters at the end. An intro stage, a mid-stage, a first castle, and a second castle. That is like the perfect length of a Mega Man game for me. It's meaty. It's gonna be a bit longer. This game doesn't do the whole two castles things, but we do have this nice mid-stage. Here it has the same music. Here in the Saturn version, it has different music for this stage. To go along with that, we've also got there's an extra ladder up here that'll lead to Cutman, and that's how you get the bolt for that. But here it's just laying there because Cutman wasn't ready yet. And that was supposed to build off of the background element shown in the in Mega Man 7, where 2 of the background capsules in a boss fight are broken in the Robot Museum. We'll show that in next week's stream of Mega Man 7, but Cutman and Woodman were both those bosses. So, interesting. Alright, there's that. And as we come down here, we've got the boss. And it's Duo. And this sprite is great, and the boss fight music is even better. Honestly, I think if they would have done a Mega Man 9 in this style, I don't think people would have complained. Either way, I love the way this looks. I love the way he bounces around the room. This is not a difficult fight, but it is a little tricky to avoid him. He has a weakness, but I find it's more fun to fight him Buster only. So
This fight looks so fluid.
it is it's very kinetic and organic. But he's holding back, so. If you want to read chat real fast.
Yep, I'm getting on it. Jarenth says rar, and
Hello.
Zenny says Duolingo has become too powerful. Oh, Duolingo. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so there is a music pun with his name, but I'll get to that in a second, because Proto Man shows up, and he's got more frames of animation. Holy cow.
It's blues.
Mm-hmm. Might be connected to Dr. Wily. Wily Tower is just ahead from here. That's the name of Wily's new castle. That robot may be going there. Maybe.
Jarenth says rar from one dir to another.
Well, rar back to you, I suppose, but welcome to the channel. Regardless, we've got another anime cutscene. And this one is the most annoying, regardless if you're playing Japanese or English.
I'm gonna turn up the game volume, or the stream volume.
So Mega Man screams his heart out because he's getting grabbed by a robot that's really powerful, and Rush comes in to try and save him. And Mega Man just ends up... Rush gets pounded into the wall. Mega Man gets stuck. And Wily's laughing from the sidelines of the castle.
I didn't think you'd make it this far, Megaman. However, I don't have time to deal with you. Say goodnight.
This voice for Wily isn't too bad. I actually don't mind his voice, but I do think the 11 and powered up voices are both better than this one. But this one's not bad. You can hear the Britishisms in his voice, which is nice, but you don't get it overpoweringly. Like he's been in the States for just a bit too long. But just like that, Duo comes in and saves the day. Duo didn't have time to deal with Proto Man and rushed off. He was going to have a conversation with Mega Man.
My name is Duo. I was born with the sole purpose to eliminate the
We're going to ignore him and skip the rest of the cutscene, because that's all there really is. We have to collect 4 more energy elements to lower the shields for Wily's castle, and then go stop him. Duo is a robot from space. He was built with the sole purpose of, stopping, problems like this. But,
That scene was just a little too much for me. I'm sorry.
That's fair. And here we have the first evidence that Dr. Light is, in fact, an American scientist. Do you know where that's at? That's in Arizona. You know what cities in
Too much green.
You know what cities in Arizona? Monsteropolis. The manual says it's Monsteropolis in the first Mega Man game. Later calls it Megaopolis. And then it's later called Able City. Either way, it's really weird that that stayed consistent from a poorly translated manual.
It is.
We're gonna go to the shop. Because now we have all of the parts in the shop, we might as well get some. There are a limited amount of bolts in this game, so you have to spend them wisely. We're going to run through each item here, and I'm only going to pick up certain ones for this next set, and then we're going to spend the rest of our bolts next time. So right off the bat, this one is pointless. All it does is give you an extra life. Yes, you'll have more lives when you exit from a stage, but it's just an extra life. Same with this one. It's not worth it to get either of these. This one removes the knockback, which is useful in some cases, but not all of them, and not coming up. Laser shots, helpful. The 5 buster shots is interesting because you can have 5 shots on screen instead of, the normal 3. The laser shot's a change of the charge shot. Same with the arrow shot. Arrow shot's really powerful, but not super useful. You'll see why in a bit. It's more useful against groups of enemies, and we're not going to see very many of those. This is the auto charge function, or automatic fire, sorry. It's not a bad option, but X gets this by default. You can turn it on and off for X. The energy balancer is the first item we're going to need, because we're going to be using a lot of weapons. The exit utility is helpful, but not right now. The energy saver is another item that is super useful. This one shortens the time for the charge shot, which is useful, but we're not going to need it right now. This one speeds up the buster. 3 Mega Buster shots will be fired each time I press the shot button once, which is useful, but not great. This one increases the amount of energy you receive from stuff. That one can be useful. And this one will speed up our sliding. This one will change life energy into weapon energy if your life is full, which, another useful item. But we're going to actually pick up the hyper slide and go from there.
Good luck, Megaman.
Sorry for all of the explaining, but luckily I won't have to do that ever again because most of those items don't return. So starting off right off the bat, I think we're gonna go for... Okay, so here's the mid stage, here's Dr. Wily's castle. So that requires Flame Man's weapon. This one, generally, I use Astro Crush, but I can do it Buster only. That one's water. This one's Search Missile. I'll start with Aquaman. Oh, boy.
That's not Aquaman. That's a robot.
That is a very good point. It actually brings me to my next point of Aquaman.exe for Battle Network 4 and 6. For 4, they kept it as Aquaman. For the anime, they changed it to Spoutman for troubles with DC. You know, DC Comics. Then, when they translated Battle Network 6, they changed it to Spoutman. And then for the Legacy Collection, they're doing a new translation where they're changing it back to Aquaman. So this guy's name could be Spoutman if we, if you really wanted to avoid the DC legal controversies of having a character named Aquaman who looks nothing like Aquaman.
Are they still gonna keep Multanic Man?
No, Multanic Man was never in the games. He was only in the anime. It was an unused voice line in BN5, so.
Oh, okay. I thought... Okay, that makes sense. I still find that funny.
So this has been a fairly eventful game so far. We've been just kind of breezing through it. We're about an hour in, which is usually pretty good. This is fairly, you know, competent for me. This is our next mid-boss. I should probably go into a few more of the items' quirkiness. So, I didn't say why I picked up the slide weapon here, the slide ability. So, the slide in Mega Man 8 was actively made worse. It was given more frames of animation at first, ending lag, starting lag, from standing up and, you know, sliding down. The sped up slide removes all of that lag, removes certain frames of animation, and gives you a pink burst of wind instead of a regular burst of wind. So I think it's meant to be exhaust, but either way, it's still really helpful, especially when it comes to avoiding stuff. This is also a mid-boss where some things actually changed for the Saturn version. He has more health there. And here's Rush Medical Box. They had to remove the plus for fear of the Red Cross. But this is another section with really interesting background storytelling.
Ready.
But while I'm in between things, you got any questions so far?
No, not really. I mean, no wait, but it wouldn't count because I'm thinking because you said they removed the cross because of the fear of the Red Cross, and then I'm thinking, well, what does that say for the safety helmets of the Mets?
Well, the thing is
green though.
On Rush, it was literally on that box. It literally was the cross from the Red Cross. That was what it was meant to be. They had to remove it due to copyright. Because there is actually a copyright that they hold. That the Red Cross does, in fact, hold for that. I'll show you secrets to get bolts in this stage later on. However, for now, we got the funny party ball, where it shrinks down, and then it gives you an item. Oh.
AKA, it's a nesting party ball.
It's funny. It's like Casey.
Why is it like me?
Because it's tiny. It gets smaller and it thinks it's being cheeky.
Alphabet soup.
Exactly. There we go. So we got one of the bolts there. There is another pathway that'll just spit you out right down here. As you can see the background here, we have this entryway. We fell down a cavern and found a secret underground lair. And then we walk through it, and we're in the cave.
Armored Armadillo, is that you?
It's got these really pretty gems on the floor. Great enemy placement that's not too challenging. Doesn't feel like enemy spam in terms of placement.
Okay, this is a beautiful game. Backgrounds are just amazing. I'm enjoying this so far.
I'm glad you are. And here's our first instance of Aquaman.
I've been waiting for you.
So he gave us one of his voice lines. Another voice line makes him sound a bit. Some people have read into one of his voice lines a little bit too much because of the compression. You hear, "I'm Aquaman, but you can call me handsome guy." What he's actually saying is, "You can call me a handsome guy," which was the original line. However, it doesn't come across as that because they're slurring their words. So it just makes it sound like he's flirting with Mega Man. When actually he's just being a narcissist.
Sort of like the So Long King Bowser thing.
Yeah, exactly like that, because it's all due to compression. As you can
There's
see,
been an...
Oh,
sorry.
no, go for it.
I was gonna say, there's a couple of other things, like, vocal samples in video games that cause... that, like, in music, for, like, racing games and stuff like that, that are compressed in a way that cause it to sound like something completely different. I guess Wario Land 4 would be a good way of saying, like, that could be part of it. There's a whole bunch of different examples that I can give out.
So now we got Water Balloon here. This is basically a better version of the standard shot. And I mean that wholeheartedly. Water Balloon is super useful in this game.
Dang, you're taking a dig at Dr. Light.
Well, I mean, there are some things Water Balloon can't do. But Water Balloon with the energy saver and the energy balancer becomes incredibly broken. Because essentially, we can spam the shot as quickly as we want, have as many on screen as we want. It has a slight arc to it, so it actually goes slightly in front of Megaman. It stays just horizontal long enough for it to be useful. And you get tons of it. Plus it does, I think, 2 damage to most enemies.
So it's like a mid shot?
Yeah. It's like this shot, except this shot actually doesn't have any damage value tallied to it in most Mega Man games.
Interesting.
So it usually defaults to 1. Mega Man 4, I think, had it set to 2, and then the charge shot was 4. So here's a weapon check. Here we can just, you know, push that one across, so be it. This one we can push across, but it doesn't go up, so you have to get good at using Tornado Hold. This one, if you shoot fast enough, you don't need the Tornado Hold. And before you finish your stage, make sure to hit that button, because if you don't hit the button, the door doesn't open to the next area. But that was the Tornado Hold section, so... time to try out Frostman's weapon.
Oh, it tells you. Oops.
Yep. Frostman's weapon here will freeze the guys, which is really cool. Especially because that is instant death. I just messed that up.
Ready.
But I'll give it another go. I'll let chat pick between the last two. We have Clown Man's weapon as well as Grenade Man's weapon. So, feel free to pick.
Those baton look much more spooky.
Yeah, they're meant to be vampiric. Because the whole point of the evil energy is that it's actually corrupting Dr.WAHWEE. The evil energy is strong enough to not only, you know, power a robot master, but overpower a robot master to the point where it corrupts them. It's kind of like a dark chip. Except,
you know what?
it affects
I can see
humans.
Big spooky.
Cuddly Kong shows off Clown. Oh,
Sammy says Clown Man.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
Did you read into it?
I didn't read into it at first. So here our first thing is yellow. Our next one is green. Our last one is red. This is random every time. It's not always straightforward like that. Oh, sorry. My bad. Yellow, green. There we go. My bad. Sorry about that. But Grenade Man's weapon can be used to light up rooms. Honk honk. Okay, we're going clown now. I'm sorry. Luckily, it's all quick, so it's not too bad. I'm sorry about that.
He starts playing the clown music.
So Clown Man's weapon is Thunderclaw. As you can see here, it's a nice whip that goes really far. It's also Thunder Element. And we have the spike walls that chase you. There is a section where the slide is actually detrimental, because you can't immediately grab onto a ladder. There's actually a lot of lag that has to do with the ladders as well, but we'll get to that. But as you can see, all you gotta do is flip these switches to call them off. You can use those hooks to swing. It'll help speed you up. Essentially, this is like an Indiana Jones section. It's really neat. Love the set pieces here. I believe there is a bounty right now for speedrunners, so here's the thing. If you can even skip just one of these totem heads that block your way, I believe it's $1,000 right now for the prize pool. Or maybe it's 1,000 altogether. Either way...
Is it skipping without tasks?
Like, getting even past those.
Not tasks,
Like, it's so far, it's impossible with tasks. So...
I feel like the only way you would be able to do it is with Ace, but that'd be pretty difficult in a game like this.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's just something where somebody put up a bounty for it, and nobody's been able to do it, and I wanted to bring some attention to it. So, if you're a speedrunner and you're up to a challenge, figure out how to get past these walls. Without, you know, doing the challenge. Because that would set a whole new world record. Because you wouldn't have to do one of the rooms, at bare minimum. This mid-boss here is, I believe, our final mid-boss for this section of the game. He brings out this hammer halfway through the fight, and now we have to avoid the hammer that swings down. But if you use Grenade Man's weapon, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, and we get Rush Barrage. And that's how it goes. By the way, I did not do a practice run of this game. I just want to let people know. I did not practice. So, how is everybody doing so far? What are the thoughts on this game?
I like it. It's pretty interesting. I never really saw too much about this game aside from like a few clips that you've shown me, but that's about it. So seeing the actual game like fully, this game looks gorgeous.
Yeah, this really is a beautiful PlayStation game, and I honestly think that between the X games and Mega Man 8, I think it's a tie between, it's got to be a tie between at least X6 and this, because the animation quality in both games are gorgeous, even with the mildly contrasting boss design in X6. So here's a trick here. We need to hit that with the flash bomb. If we can't hit that, we won't get a bolt. Luckily, there is a checkpoint in this room, so it's not too much of a hassle, but it's still tricky to get there. Luckily, if you hit circle, you actually have your buster with your weapons. I want to bring this up because this changes everything about the game. You have a charge shot, a buster shot with a weapon. You don't have to switch back if you're in between things. Which is just fantastic. It's not something that's seen very often, especially in the classic games.
That's very true. These rooms that are built like this, that aren't just like a very tight corridor, are bugging me.
I'm sorry.
Why are you sorry? It's not like you developed this game.
I didn't.
Did you?
No, I didn't. I did not work on this game. I would have been too young, as in non-existent. However, Swordman here is a really fun fight if you have his weakness or not. I'm trying not to instigate an animation frame here because I want to show off. So there's the animation frame. But he has an animation frame where steam will come off of him when he gets hit with the water balloon if he's not in between an attack. But if you don't let him do that, you save time. I'm not a speedrunner, I swear.
You're not, but I feel like you could be if you like were up for it.
All I know is that this run is going exceptionally well. And the chat is behaving wonderfully, and I just wish
Very
you...
quiet tonight.
I do think they should talk a bit more.
Oh, the bottom text just said, I have an idea. The Gremlins from Gremlins in
Yeah.
a Mega Man game.
I would like to see them as an enemy. That would be an interesting enemy. An enemy that can like combine and become like a full big monster that chases you through a stage.
Surfbots?
That was way too loud. Thank you for hurting
Sorry.
my ears.
I'm sorry, I don't... The sensitivity on this mic is dumb sometimes.
Yeah, I know it is. It's alright. Let's go to Searchman's stage. He is he's a really cool boss. He's got 2 voices, 2 IC chips. He has twice the voices. One's a commander, one's a corporal. It's nice. It's
I
neat.
still find that mega good Mega Man level thing where he's hiding in the bushes and you're just like, you're hiding in the bushes, I can see you, and he just attacks you.
So this stage has some more really cool background stage design, and parts of this was reused for Mega Man X4. So, really watch the backgrounds here. They're just gorgeous. And the hidden enemies all throughout. We have trapped pits with little Mets down there. Electric bushes, which you have to get rid of with Flame Man's weapon. It's just really cool. Speaking of bushes, though, this is also the stage where Woodman would show up. But he doesn't show up in this one. So.
Cuddly Kong said, did he say mega good?
No. I did not. Make a Good Mega Man level is a fan game creation. There are 4 or 5 of them right now, and the 3rd major contest is still being judged. So this is one of the hardest bolts to collect in the entire game. As you can see, we can just easily go across, of course, but the real challenge comes in up there. So we have to make it all the way up there using Clown Man's weapon. And it may seem impossible at first, but trust me, it's doable. I've done it before, I'll do it again. Oh boy. Well, it seems like we've got some more things in chat, possibly.
The bottom text says, the Surfbots and the minions from Despicable Me are so identical, you can't convince me they aren't coincidental.
I'm sure they took some inspiration. Well, not the Surfbots, but the Surfbot inspirations are actually fairly common. The Surfbots were inspired off of Lego Men, as well as a few other handy little robots. Just the idea of having a robot companion to help you out with things. Alright. Luckily, we don't have to worry about equipped items in this game, which makes things so much better. Like, I don't have to worry quite as much when it comes to this, which is nice. I do have to worry in terms of that. Thunder Claw. There we go. And that is how you get this. It is all a timing puzzle. You can get the timing down, trust me.
The bottom text says, also FYI, Woodman only appears in Searchman's stage in the Saturn version.
Yes, we already went over that. We are playing the PlayStation version that appears on the Mega Man Legacy Collection 2 because it actually... I would love to show off my Saturn version. I do have a Saturn copy of this game. Here's where he would show up. However, I don't have a working Saturn at the moment, and I would love to get one, but Saturns cost money, and I don't have money. And I'm waiting on a Polymega to show up, so if you want to, bother the Polymega team. Tell them to get me my console faster. Or, you know, you can donate money to help me get a Saturn, which would also be appreciated, but that's only if you guys really want to see those Saturn stages. I'll show them off eventually, I'm sure.
Wouldn't the Saturn technically be the definitive version?
It is the definitive version in a lot of ways, but it has longer load times. Which is solved on a Polymega, because you don't have to worry about load times there, because you can install your games directly to an SSD. But, you know, Saturn emulation is difficult, so I understand why Capcom went the route of just the PlayStation version. It is the version that's been ported the most.
The bottom text asks, is it in English or Japanese?
It is a Japanese copy. I am not spending an arm and a leg for an American copy. I went over price tags and stuff when I did the Ultimate Guide to Mega Man, so more reason to go watch that. I actually know a bit of Japanese, so I can actually make my way through that game fairly competently. But speaking of Mega Man 8, as we're getting here closer to Searchman's stage, we've got a lot more flora and fauna all around us, as well as a lot more enemies, and they're all coming out of the bushwork. It's really, really cool to see. You have to shoot those doors to let them come down. Once they shut like this, you can't reopen them. They are one-way gates. I would love to see them used in Mega Man Maker. But speaking of Searchman, there's the boy himself.
Hey, boy, come on.
I'm trying to think about more to talk about. So he sets up these decoys, but if you can hit him with the flame sword, he really does become no real issue. Luckily, Flame Sword takes him out easy. And just like that, Searchman is down.
Fluffy Zenny says he blew up his own bush.
Yes, he did. These bosses are a bit of drama queens, I must say. Doesn't mean I don't love them. Searchman's actually Karmic's favorite boss in this game. Him and Clownman, which I think is kind of neat. That's a fun factoid. Not really about the game, just more so about him.
Fluffy Zenny said he's not really smart.
No, he's not. It would have been really cool to see the way the comics would have handled it. You know, hidden Searchman and Mega Man just trying to hunt around as he getting sniped at all over the place. It would have been really, really cool. But I guess we'll see what happens. Seeing as we are getting a Mega Man movie done by Netflix, the team behind it, I really do trust them. I've seen a little bit of the script, so I am a little spoiled in that sense, but I am quite happy with what I read. And I think fans will be too. Especially if they do the advertising right.
I didn't hear too much about that. What is it?
So, there is a live-action Mega Man movie that was being developed before the Sonic movie, and it was originally being done by Fox and before the merger with Disney.
Okay.
Then the merger with Disney happened, and they scrapped most of the movies that Fox was working on. To go along with that, they also scrapped the Megaman movie, which is a shame, but the studio decided to sell off the rights to make a Megaman movie to instead attempt it with a different team. And they brought them a really, really good script, and it got picked up by Netflix. To show that they were working on a Mega Man movie, they hinted at in one of their Netflix series, which got an award, by the way, which was really cool. I don't remember which one it was. You can find most of this information on Produce Corner. They hid Mega Man 1 Fireman stage in the background of an empty house. It was running on a TV. So, they
That's
know...
pretty interesting.
The people who wrote it know what they're doing, know the character, and their history with the series is very, very clear. They've played most of them, which is a real sigh of relief, especially because when they said that the story is going to be more primal and... when interviewed, they said the story was going to be more primal and heartfelt, and it was really going to pull at your strings, and a lot of fans didn't like that. But then you gotta remember what it means to be human, and if a robot can really be more than what he is, and what it means to be a son. You know, because we're dealing with Dr. Light and Rock. We're not dealing with X. So is something with free will able to be a robotic son? Is it able to be more than a weapon if it's gotta stop Dr. Wily?
This is giving me Astro Boy, like, motifs.
Well,
In terms of story.
and if you really want to look at that as, like, whoa, that doesn't fit, listen to the songs by the Megas and listen to the lyrics. Or, you know, look up the lyrics in general. There's songs for Proto Man where he's going, "What am I supposed to be?" Because, like, you know, he's conflicted. Is he a weapon
Fair
of
enough.
war? Is he Breakman? Is he Proto Man? Is he Blues? Is he Dr. Light's son? Is he Dr. Wily's son? Is he just a weapon of war? And these are all questions that are probably going to be tackled in the movie. And I can't wait to see it, but nothing's been announced yet, and it probably won't be until near the end of this year. I was glad Netflix didn't cancel it, though. That made...
Oh my god. Yeah, I could see why you would say that.
Speaking of, it looks like we got some more people in chat. If you'd like to read them out real fast.
The bottom text says, "Imagine Mega Man, but it looks like Family Guy," and Felipe says, "Family Bot."
Please, no. Please, please, no.
They keep trying their best to be like, what if this, but it looks like this series.
What if Mega Man, but it looked like Mega Man, and that's okay. You know, we don't have to shove different art styles everywhere. It's okay. It's okay to just be content with a good-looking series. Oh boy. So here's the tricky bit. Getting the bolt in this stage, in this part of the stage, is kind of a hassle. So up there is where the bolt's at. There's where the button's at. We have to find a way to get up there. This screen is constantly looping and moving, and if you look at the background, it's all an illusion. It's a reference to a very famous painting. I don't remember the name of it. I think it was by Salvador Dali, but I'm not entirely sure. So, somebody please correct me on that. If I am wrong, I am wrong. It's the one with all the staircases. And there's the bolt. So let us go down, and now all we gotta do is get to the big exit.
It's Relativity by Escher.
Oh, thank you. You're actually really, really loud. I think I might... Go ahead and... You're like good volume and really loud volume.
It's because I have earbuds in. sorry.
Okay. Yeah, you're good. How is chat seems to be going on about
They're
something.
talking more about, well, the bottom text is constantly going on by with the Mega Man in the Family Guy art style. Zenny says, "Is there any nuts to go with the bolts?"
No, bolts are simply a shop item.
They're currency.
They are just a currency. You don't have to worry about them.
Felipe asks the Asher one, and I believe they're referencing to what I said of the name of the artist.
Yeah, we're talking about the background here and the way this looks. Okay, I am going in circles. So I think that's the button there. I gotta go up over this way. There's that button. Perfect. And that opened the way to the gate. And just like that, we're past all the illusions, we're past all the holograms, onward to Astro Man, who was kidnapped and reprogrammed. He worked as a space observer. He essentially was a tour guide for the Hollow Observatory. Essentially, they took scans out of deep space and allowed people to explore them. High-resolution holograms based on Mega Man 2's hologram technology. So Wily did do a good thing with his holograms. He just isn't given any credit.
So are you telling me that Astro Man is just Mysterio?
Yes! 100%. He's even got a very similar color palette.
He does.
And just like that, we have all the weapons. So we're gonna go get all of the rest of the bolts and then go for Wily. I think
Sophie Zenny says bot napped. Sorry, I didn't mean that.
bot napped. Yeah. Yeah, you're good. You're good. You're good. Wily does that quite a lot, actually. So we're at 29 total bolts. We're missing about 11, give or take. Luckily, we got all of the bolts here. Wily's castle's open to us. I believe we got all the bolts here. We need to get the bolts in Aquaman stage and all of the 4 original stages. So first up, we're going to go back to Tango Man stage. Did Wily do it? Or did he just steal the hologram technology? Because he has a habit of that. Well, seeing as Mega Man had never seen a hologram up to that point, and because he was fooled by the alien disguise that Dr. Wily used with the hologram, it's likely that Wily either perfected the hologram technology to fool robots, or he built the holograms himself and was just showing what he could do. So it's more likely that Wily built the hologram technology. However, it's neither here nor there, because he did build most of the Wily Castle with the help of his bots. Alright, now I'm going to show you how hard weapons break this section. So right off the bat, this, that, and here's how water balloon goes. Like I said, it's extremely powerful for a very little reason.
But I'm thinking, Darkman uses the holo technology, does he not?
Yes, he
Or is
does.
it a different thing?
Yes, he does. He uses that technology to disguise himself as Proto.
So technically, wouldn't he have already perfected it way back then instead of now?
Well, the thing is that he would have perfected it back in Mega Man 2.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So,
Oh.
It's one of
Eddie.
if it's one of those things that he perfected and people are actively using, something good was made out of Wily's quest for fighting Mega Man. Heck, the Mega Man himself, being a hero, helped give people, promise for the future, and helped set a precedent for X. So, one that's helped to form the in fact, the way the Maverick Hunters run their operation is all based on the way that the original classic Mega Man did his original run. It sets the precedent. Just a thought.
I mean, it's true. I mean, we saw, I guess, their interpretation of what the Maverick Hunter base map looks like. You
Yeah.
know, with all the bots separated. Like, I feel like that's how they decided it. Because of Classic, which makes what you're saying possibly true.
So here's our first secret hidden spot here. All we have to do for this bit is take out Astro Crush and use it. As you can see, we're dealing damage to that top bit. We use it 3 times. The bolt falls down. With that, all bolts are collected from Tengu Man stage. And we should be able to leave the stage at pretty much any time. Seems like we got some more questions and comments.
Let me see here. Felipe says the man is a great engineer if nothing else. And
Agreed.
Dark Mega Man says, Gavin, have you played Mega Man X Street Fighter?
Yes, I have, and we'll be playing it on the channel eventually. I did a playthrough a long time ago when I was still in high school for the channel, but we'll be actually replacing that with a nice stream for you guys where I'll be going over some facts. I even went over it in the Ultimate Guide to Mega Man, so if you haven't seen that yet, please go watch it.
So you were talking about this bubble section earlier, and you said it was never used again?
Yep, it's never seen in any other Mega Man games yet. It hasn't been used.
What about 8.5? Because I saw it yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah, I swear I saw a similar mechanic where Mega Man gets trapped in a bubble.
Nope. Mega Man doesn't get trapped in a bubble and then rise upwards in that game at all.
I could be wrong.
Just like that. We're now at a total even 30. Our next sets are going to be in Clown Man and Frost Man, and then we're going to head over to... So let's start with Clown Man here.
Ready.
I'm going to show off this little secret for the 1-up one more time, because I showed it off earlier, but I didn't actually say anything. If you can shoot the ball right into the clown's mouth, you get a prize. 1 per customer, though, so you can only do it on each first starting life. Seems like we got a few more questions.
Let's see here. Felipe says, and Light did make a living holograms later on in the X series.
Exactly. Well, that had his personal data on it, so...
Revolta came in and said, howdy there, Gavin.
Welcome, Revolta. So here's Rush Bike. It is one of the fastest forms of movement in this game, and it is so rarely used. However, if you haven't noticed, I'm getting hit all over the place, and I'm not taking damage. It is a ride bike. It is an armor section. You don't have to worry about taking damage on Rush Bike. All it does is slow you down. Which is something that most people don't realize.
I assume they overly panic because they're worried about getting damaged.
Yep. But you don't have to worry about it. You don't even have to think about it.
Huh.
We'll show off Searchman's weapon here. It's a charge-up weapon. Of course, you have the homing missile. We're just going to use Astro Crush. This is to avoid us wasting bolts on the exit utility. So these are going to take a bit. So these are perfect sections to, you know, have questions and comments, concerns, either about the series and the playthroughs or about realistically anything. Showcasing that you can fall right through them. Casey, do you have any questions?
None so far. I think that I honestly really like this game. That's all I'm gonna say about this one. This is a game that I might want to try.
I'd say it's definitely worth a shot.
Felipe says strange that there wasn't a rush bike section. Could have even fit it on the later floor levels with the jump slide.
It really is interesting. I don't know why. I think it has partially to do with the rushed development time of this game, because initially I think they gave them, somewhere around 2 years to work on this game. And the problem was that Sony wanted this game out. They basically sold Capcom, if you're not the first, you're the worst, and we want more content than the Saturn version. So they got an extra manual for the anniversary. The game came out first on PlayStation, and to really top things off, you know, certain music tracks were changed, 2 bosses were removed. It just really does feel like Mega Man 8 was kind of rushed in many ways, which is a shame because this game is gorgeous, it plays wonderfully, and honestly, I think it's worth most people's time. It respects the player, it's got a fair difficulty, and especially in the Legacy Collection where there's very little input latency, it just feels great to play.
Sorry about the silence. I had to readjust my mic because apparently it was picking up on something random.
That's weird, I wasn't hearing anything.
Really?
Yeah?
I thought it was my fan because I have it on at the moment. They're pointing towards me.
Yeah, no, I can't hear it. Okay. So we're going to use up some of our bolts real fast.
Felipe says, at least we got Mega Man and bass.
Yeah, we sure did get Mega Man and bass. We're going to get the hypercharge to help speed ourselves up. We're going to get the knockback, and I think by the end we'll also get climb ladders faster, just for the heck of it. So we're going to go ahead and go to Frostman stage, get the last of the bolts here, and then we'll move over to the, oh boy, Aquaman stage. That, I cannot think of words today. And you get to take another glance at this beautiful background here and the way it changes through the stage. This game really is, like, one of those PlayStation games that I think is gorgeous. Musically, visually, just... As you were saying, sorry.
Felipe says, I will die on the hill of Mega Man and bass being the best. The game was just dealt a bad hand.
Okay, I will give you that. After my most recent playthrough, I do have to say, it is better than I remember. The final 2 stages are where most of my gripes come from, and Burner Man's boss fight. Everything else was completely doable and mostly fair. I still think the 1 item per thing is not great, and I do think the music is a little lacking, but it's not bad. So
last 2 stages were complete garbage.
But other than that, not a bad game. I will give you that. Mega Man and bass is not an awful game. Okay, it's 2 there, and then that. Once, looks like we got another, we have another chat, and it looks like it's a new person.
Chronobird says, hello there. I don't know if anyone asked, but what is your ideal Mega Man game?
Ah, that is a great question. Thank you for having that, and welcome to the chat. So, my ideal Mega Man game is actually something that looks a little bit like Mega Man 11. Personally, I think for classic series, it needs an intro stage, it needs a mid stage, regardless of how many bosses are on the stage select. So essentially, any 4 stages that you fight, you get a mid stage. So then you have to handle that mid stage with whatever you have on you. I think the shop system from 11 is a perfectly fine system to have. I think the double gear is a great influence. But personally, I think my ideal Mega Man Classic game would have to be something that focuses on the story, has like the same gameplay I'm used to, has the double gear system with an added twist of probably extra gears, and more stages. 11 comes very close to being my top, or my top in most cases, depending on when I played things, just because it is so close to that ideal Mega Man game to me.
Felipe says, Burner Man was the funniest little guy. We just need a Tom yell when he falls on the spikes.
You know what? I might edit that into a short. We already have one that I think would be a great thing, and I think Tom yell with, the Tom and Jerry yell with, Burner Man could be hilarious as a short. So, to go put that alongside the Rush section would be great. Alright. This is the hardest part of this entire thing. Hold right. We got the bolts. Slide here. There's no more bolts on these sections. So now all I have to do is focus on finishing the stage. Don't worry if you game over, you will keep your items for whatever you collected throughout the stage. So don't worry about game overing if you've collected everything. You don't need all the bolts to beat the game, but it is nice to showcase them because not everybody showcases where all the bolts are at. And I have them mostly committed to memory. I was a little worried I didn't, but I do. So, let's do this. Oh, another thing. Flame Sword. Can't break these ice things. These ice blocks. Neither can Flashman's weapon.
Wow.
You have to use the other ice block. You have to do the ice puzzle to get that bolt there. Luckily, we already got it, so I think we're good.
I guess you would say you're fighting fire with fire, but I guess it would be ice with ice.
Ice with impact. This ice platform here, not slick at all. Also not real. We destroy it. Then you just pick up the cracked bolt there, the cracked block. Yeah, cracked block of ice with the bolt in it. I can't speak. Have you been noticing that lately? I just cannot get words out properly.
Neither can I. Felipe says, I hope we get a new X game.
I would look forward to it, but I wouldn't bet on it yet. It is X's 30th anniversary this year, and it is Mega Man's 35th. So I would say keep your eyes peeled, but expect COVID delays. Based on the release schedule, Battle Network Legacy Collection is actually Capcom's, I think, first or second title so far that suffered from COVID delays. It was supposed to come out the end of last year, in August. If you look at the release schedule between all the Legacy Collections, it's been 2 years in between each Legacy Collection, and Battle Network was supposed to be 2022's. Instead, it's 2023's. So I would say expect something probably the end of next year. By the end of this year, if not early next year. And it'll probably either be Mega Man 12 or an X9.
Felipe says, ending with X8 feels wrong. Will we get the legendary Third X remake?
I would prefer to get X9, personally. I would also prefer if we could, you know, continue to build off of X Dive's interesting characters. But that's just my personal thoughts. We're going to go back to Aquaman and get the last of our bolts, and then we are going to go to the shop, finish up items, and then move forward.
In terms of a new Mega Man game, you already know what my answer is.
Just make it Battle Network. Or Legends.
Star Force.
Star Force, yep. Figured it was something like that.
It was gonna be Star Force. It's always Star Force. I'm mad.
Every single time. Star Force 4, we went over that in one of the Ultimate Guide videos, and oh boy.
I mean, that would have been awesome. Geostellar and Land's Descendant being a outlaw.
It would have been pretty cool. You're right. Alright. We are just gonna come over here.
You know, it'd be pretty cool. Something that they could have done.
What's that?
Like Land's Descendant having Mega Man.
That would
And
be interesting.
hear me out. Mega Man gets turned into an Emethian.
An Ephemian. Well,
Ephemian.
I don't think that's possible, but it would have been really interesting to see him in a copy bot.
Plot-wise.
Could have been cool. Could have been cool, especially because he would probably remember Geo from the whole weird Operate Star Force incident.
Yeah.
Plus the whole small cameos in Star Force 1.
That's true. Felipe said, X8 left me with a cliffhanger for so long, or just give me Command Mission 2.
Those are both good options. Agreed. I have a lot of really cool insight into the series. I've been following this franchise since I can remember, and honestly, I would say we can look forward to new Mega Man games because it's in safe hands now. It's just we're not going to get them, you know, we're not going to get a new game every year. They know to space these games out. Internally at Capcom, I've said this before, they actually are treating these series as different franchises. So they're all connected. They're all story-wise. They are all connected. They're all talking to each other in terms of dev team. But each one of these are meant to be... So Classic is different from X, which is different from Legends. Zero and ZX are the same series. Battle Network is its own thing, and so is Star Force. And that's how they're handling it, and I'm okay with that. I think that is a fair way to handle it. And I think it's the best way to make people happy, because then we don't have people being like, oh, we got a Classic game and not an X game, because that's how they used to handle it. And that was a terrible way to handle it, because then it was like everything hinged on Battle Network, or everything hinged on the Zero games, or everything hinged on an X game. But not everybody's gonna like all of those, so... You know, I for one am happy with what we're getting. I'm happy with the collections. I'm happy with 11. I'm happy with any new games that we've gotten and or are going to get. And I'll state my griefs with those games when they come, if they come, and... But for now, I'm content with where the series is at. I feel like Capcom has learned a bit more since, you know, working on Mega Man 11 and 9 and 10, and having Keiji Inafune touch every game they've ever freaking made. So, those are my thoughts. They're not perfect thoughts, but that is my idea on the whole next game when discussion. No, dang it. Alright, we're gonna take a death here because I saw a bolt. I want to get the bolt. This is gonna take a second. Oh, that's why it's gonna take a second. Maybe I can't turn it off from here. Anyways. So damage up regardless. At least this is a nice moment for me to talk about my, I guess it's probably a nice moment to talk about my issues with the franchise as a whole. Because I do have my own grievances with this franchise. Despite me loving it to death, I do have some minor gripes. I think that, personally, the amount of games that we got, awesome, love the stories, but we didn't need them all that quickly. That was my thought there. I think that Mega Man 10 being 8-bit was probably a mistake, and especially for 9. And, yeah, that's about it.
I like 10. It's like a throwback.
I like it. I just wish that, you know, they would have had more ideas going forward instead of just, oh, it's 8-bit again. Karmic's asking, why am I dying? Because all things must die. I'm kidding. Because there is a bolt up there that we missed, and I would like to collect it. And it would take a while to get back around. I believe it was on the left side of the screen, on this, near this edge. Okay, so there's that. Go, fall left, aim for right about here. And there's the bolt. I think that we should be coming up to 40 bolts here soon. And now with all of that, we're gonna come over here. Up this direction. Usually the water is a bit higher if you don't die there. The water level resets if you do. But there's that. Alright, now we can move on to 37. Okay, so I don't have all the bolts, but I'm getting there. I know we got all of them here. As far as I'm concerned, that's enough bolts to beat the game. Whatever little stragglers I'm missing, my bad. Alright. So climb ladders faster. And now we have 3. What can we do with 3? They priced everything so you'll end up with 0 if you have all the bolts, but if that's that...
Good luck, Megaman.
Let's go stop Dr. Wily. With one of the hardest Wily Castle stages, but one of the most fun. When you get good at this stage, it is a lot of fun.
Chronobird asks, what franchises do you hold dear in your heart?
This, Sonic, and... I think it's mostly just this and Sonic.
Shin Megami?
Shin Megami is good, but I'm not as attached to it, because that's more of a more recent interest in my gaming career.
Lupin?
Lupin the Third, yeah, I'll give you that one.
I mean, you got me hooked on it, so...
I mean, I like a lot of older franchises, so... I like a lot of stuff from, like, the 70s. Godzilla's pretty cool, you know.
Yeah, you do like a lot of kaiju, don't you?
I do. Power Rangers is one I hold pretty dear to my heart.
That's true. KE says, hey.
Welcome, KE.
And Felipe says Mega Man surfing directly into Wily's castle is so cool. It is.
Okay. This is the trickiest part because we are going as fast as possible. So I'm going to show you guys a trick. Astro Crush will hold you in the air. You don't have very many of them, but it can get you to the end of the stage. You don't have to worry about weapon ammo because it refills after every load screen, and we're going to have load screens in between pretty much everything we do. So essentially, if you can cheese it with a weapon, do not be scared, because 9 times out of 10, that weapon is not necessary for the boss. The easiest path here is with the gold chain, but it can be one of the harder paths to do because you have to be pretty much pixel perfect. Speaking of perfect, we're gonna try for it. And we did! Wily won, deathless. Speaking of interesting weapons for bosses' weaknesses, we've got one for the Mega Ball. Weapon we got back in the intro stage. Wait, did I already hit it at least once? It'll always drop more weapon ammo, so don't worry about not being able to hit it. Don't worry, there's always a good way to hit it. The blocks on the floor are pretty easy to do, but this boss fight's fairly relaxed in terms of challenge. Casey, if you want to read out chat real fast.
Yep, I'm about to read it right now. Felipe said, I had some strange tokusatsu when I was a kid, like Josepion and Jiraiya. Still have some love for it.
Interesting. So Tokuyatsu shows are stuff like Sentai and Kamen Rider, stuff like that.
Ah! Okay, I see. Felipe says, strange that another boss like this was put in Mega Man and Base. No, the one in Mega Man and Base is just unfair.
Fun fact, it's the same boss. It's the same sprite, just upside down. It's based on a bagworm. So there is precedent to not like that guy. Luckily, you can go back to the shop if you want, or go find more bolts, but we're just going to go right to the next stage. We're already 2 hours in, but we don't have much left. So I'm not worried.
I could just imagine how ridiculous that would look on security cams for Wily. Mega Man is infiltrated like the first layer of his base, and he just leaves.
So I would like to mention that's actually pretty good. So I would like to mention a few of the things that that are coming up for next week's stream schedule. So next week we're doing Mega Man 7 and 6, and hopefully, and as well, I will also be uploading the. So essentially, we'll be doing 7, uploading a game theory rebuttal video, and then getting right into Mega Man 6. And that'll be next week. After that, the week after that, we'll be doing a Donkey Kong stream, as well as Mega Man 5 and 4 for Game Boy. And then Mega Man 5, 3 for Game Boy. We're essentially going to be ramping up the Mega Man content so I can beat the Legacy Collection to release. And then we'll come back to finish up every straggler that I've missed in between things. So that is the workflow schedule that I'm running on right now. The game theory video is done. I'm very proud of myself for getting that done on time because Artie wasn't able to do her edits, which is a shame because I would have loved to see her version of that video.
Felipe says, what did Matthias Pathias do? Or
Uh,
Matthias Pathis do?
he himself covers lore in stuff like FNAF, right? Well, he recently did a video over Sonic lore, saying that it really doesn't matter and that like nobody should attempt to do timelines or things. And I think that's a really reductive way to think, and I think it puts a lot of people down for even attempting to, research lore or get into, lore of other series, because what does it matter, But no, I managed to put together a Sonic timeline. I planned on doing a Sonic timeline video. In fact, it's mostly done. I just need to record it and edit it. But, if nobody cares about lore, what good is my video going to do on it? So I wanted to rebuttal him on lore and show that fictional lore can be a great thing for young adults or just people looking for something to do. Especially,
I find it interesting that he says the lore doesn't matter, or was it just Sonic lore in general, or lore in general?
it was Sonic lore, but the way the video was, it was very negative, and it felt like it put a lot of people down for lore in general. So I wanted to do a rebuttal to it.
So, question, did you put this pointer in there that you need lords in order to create theories? That would technically shut down his own channel.
Yeah, pretty much, but I didn't want to mention that, because that's not my point of my video. The point of my video is just to tell people that it's okay to theorize and have theories, but don't shoo out other people for having fun with series.
Felipe says, and wild that the Game Boy games didn't get on any collection, because they were weird games that kind of have a name and some Robot Masters in common. Okay, so...
Oh, go for it.
I was gonna say, that's kind of what I said yesterday during the 9 stream, where if they were to release the side games, make it its own collection.
So, in terms of its own collection in the Game Boy games, I could see them showing up on the Switch Online Game Boy service, especially because the Wily Wars ended up on the Genesis service for that, which is awesome, which means people get Mega Man 1 through 3 in the Wily Tower for absolutely nothing, which is great. But I could see them coming to that. I could see Capcom doing their own Game Boy-esque collection to collect their titles all together in one. But seeing as Capcom has re-released the titles on 3DS, I have a feeling once the 3DS eShop closes, we'll see stuff like Ace Attorney 4, 5, and 6 get ported, and the Game Boy Mega Man games and stuff. Capcom hasn't forgotten about them, because the dev teams absolutely know about that. By the way, I did have invincibility frames there. I know it looked like I didn't. That's because the charge shot actually covers that up, which is really weird.
Felipe said, FNAF man hates lore. Fair.
Yeah, I know. I don't get it.
He's not the FNAF man. Markiplier is.
Yeah. I'll give it to Markiplier anything. And it's bass and treble. And he's gonna use the evil energy to...
Oh, it's Forte and Gospel.
Sorry, Forte and Gospel. Nope, he said treble. Anyways. This voice for bass isn't too bad. Although I do wish they'd stop calling him Bass and just call him Bass. But,
they're calling him Bass?
They call him Bass for some reason in the voice acting. They didn't double check it. They only say it, I think, once or twice.
Fluffy Zenny says, I thought MatPat was the FNAF guy.
Well, MatPat makes a lot of videos on FNAF, but he contradicts himself constantly. His 2 Mega Man videos, a friend of mine debunked both of them, because both of them were total bunkus. Shoutouts to Reploid Revo. And I wanted to do one on the Sonic video, because the Sonic video just upset me. I'm sorry. If you're gonna tell me lore is a waste of your time, then you might as well just tell kids not to read or not get interested in fiction as a whole. Which is just... it's just a shame. It's reductive. It's mean. Don't be mean to kids. Don't be mean to me.
But
I
you
don't-
can be mean to the gremlin.
Like, I don't mind MatPat's theories. I don't think they're too awful or off-brand, but they're interesting thought experiments. But MatPat touts them like they're fact, and it's... I don't know. It just doesn't feel genuine. It feels like... It feels like a useless marketing ploy. From a guy who makes... crackpot theories.
Felipe says, cause it would be weird if only one character had a music theme. It makes a lot more sense to make it based on fish.
But everybody's got a music theme. Mega Man's name outside of, you know, being Mega Man is rock. His sister is roll. Blues. Duo is a reference to the like two singing like it's a set of quartet essentially, because you can have a duology of two people singing at once and it's called a duo.
Duet.
Yeah, it's called a duo or a duet. I'm not trusting myself with that.
I'm dead.
The evil robot is known as Trio, and there's a third party called Quartet, who we see in later entries like the Mega Man Archie comics, and yeah, no, all of the,
Wasn't there,
what?
wasn't there someone from Legends with a music-inspired name?
Pretty much everybody in Legends is music inspired as well, but they're also a little bit French, which is strange. Zero, ZX, and Legends all have weird naming conventions where they name him after, like, I don't know. It's weird.
Except for Data. He burns pizza.
Where's Uno? I would like to see Acapella. I'd like to see a character called Acapella be a villain. That'd be interesting.
I could make that. That'd be pretty interesting.
Imagine a game where Duo returns and King is involved and there's some outside threat called Acapella.
That'd be pretty interesting.
So right here we're just going to... I want to show off the Green Devil a little bit, so...
Felipe says trombone is an instrument.
That's trombone, but yes. The Bonds, there's Glide. You know, there's all sorts of, like, musically inclined characters. I know Glide isn't one, but...
Glide technically is one.
Well, yeah, but still.
Because it's called a chord glide. Not a chord glide. It's another term for slide on guitar, but it's used for string instruments and orchestra.
I love the Green Devil's appearance here. We saw him in Mega Man Base's intro stage, but here his fight is just wonderful. I can't wait, because Mega Man 7 is going to be a really interesting one to cover, because I've got a lot to say about it. I think we're going to switch to the Japanese version just to really spice things up.
Alright, so Maokai says yes in agreement to what you were saying. Felipe said, man, bringing King back would be a deep dive. Fluffy Zenny says true bone.
Tronbon. Not True Bone. Felipe says punk is self-explanatory. So is ballad. And then we have Inker, who is a Japanese music reference. They're all over the place.
Felipe asked, will you do a Mega Man 7 episode?
Yes, we were working our way backwards through the series.
I believe that's what EP stands for. I could be wrong.
I believe so, yes. We will be doing Mega Man 7 and 6 next week, in between an upload. So next week, probably Monday or Tuesday, we're going to do 7, and then an upload probably Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday is going to end with Mega Man 6.
Let me see here. Fluffy Zenny asks, what the heck is a trombone?
Tronbon is a character from Mega Man Legends. We'll get introduced to her in the games. She is a lovely character who is a villain who falls in love with Mega Man Volnut, and yeah, no, it's great. I honestly, yeah.
Oops, sorry.
I don't want to spoil anything because she's just that great of a character. She made the serve bots. She's an engineer. She's pretty awesome.
Chronobird says theories give birth to imagination. Would you like to do a theory video on the topic you haven't talked about?
I would actually like to do a theory video on some topics I haven't talked about. I've got a couple Mega Man theories I'd like to talk about. I've got one from Animal Crossing and Balloon Trip, as well as Earthbound and Kirby. I've got a couple. Most of those are interesting lore videos I'd love to do one day.
Did you say Balloon Trip?
Balloon Fight, Balloon Trip.
I didn't know it had an alternate name.
There's a sequel called Balloon Trip, which ties into it.
Okay.
It's for the Game Boy.
Okay, that would make sense why I never... Oh, wait, that's the game that was put on Switch, wasn't it?
It's not on Switch yet.
Oh, it's not? Well, it's something Trip that was on Switch. I don't know.
Seems chat is still going on as we're refighting the bosses.
Yeah, Felipe says Tron is Mega Man Legend's boyfriend. That's not
girlfriend.
right. Felipe says, I was talking about the hack from the guy that made Rockman 4 minus Infinity called Mega Man 7 EP.
Oh, no, I will not be covering... I won't be covering overly difficult ROM hacks. I'm sorry. Listen, I can do these games. I can play them well. I will attempt ROM hacks somewhere down the line. Probably later this year. But I gotta draw the line somewhere. I'm not a Kaizo player.
Crush everyone!
I am, however. I played Mega Man for Pete's sake.
If you can dumb something down to the difficulty of, like, the main games, then sure, I'll give it a shot. But I don't think...
Make a good Mega Man level?
I mean, I've done one of those already. I did 48 hours last year.
True.
I would like to do the other ones of those in that series, but... Fan games I'm willing to touch. ROM hacks I'm a little weary of, but I will still try them. It's just a matter of... They make me worry.
Felipe says Clownman forgives all sins of any Mega Man.
If you say so.
He goes, what are you doing?
I'll make a popsicle of you.
Alright. Slide. Shoot. Shoot. Hit.
That hurt.
And just like that. As you can see, these bosses are not giving me really much trouble at all. After beating Mega Man and Bass, this really does feel like a cakewalk. Once again, I recommend this is probably about a 3rd or 4th entry for most people. Good game, can be challenging. When you've gotten to the skill level where I'm at, it really doesn't feel like much of a challenge.
Impress. Bombing strike. Fire slash.
Mistimed that.
Nice shot.
And just like that, we go. Log. I'm confused on what Zenny is talking about.
They're referencing to the
Are they Swordman, or are they just referencing... I'm just confused. It seems like Felipe said they made the Zero version. Make a good Mega Man level. Yes, I do want to do that one as well. I've 100%
That one's
that one
funny.
recently. That one's fun. It's silly. It's goofy.
Felipe also says Mega Man 8 really is gonna peak dub. It's almost as good as Zero on X4.
It's the same voice cast for 1, but for 2, no. I still prefer Powered Up and Mega Man 11 to this, and especially Legends. Legends 1 and 2 have some amazing voice acting, especially, like, not only for the time, those games hold up so well. And I can't wait for whenever Capcom does a Legacy Collection or a remaster for those, because, oh man. So many people are going to get to play those games, and I know it's going to sell like crazy, because Zelda fans have been looking for, like, Zelda games that they haven't tried before, and Legends is my favorite Zelda game.
Dark Souls. Dark Souls is a Zelda title. Don't tell me it's not.
I'm not going to question that. I'm just going to move on.
Alright, fair enough. Felipe says, wild how the Legends games had a good dub, but here's Mega Man 8 and X4 being like, what is this?
Well, Legends also came out later on in the PlayStation's lifespan. And were dubbed in Canada with their own cast. So... I'm also going to leave out one bit of information because it kills one of the characters for me, and I prefer not to. Regardless, we've made it to the boss. We've made it to Dr.WAHWEE.
Congratulations.
Wily has trapped Mega Man with his cannon and is getting ready to fire.
Colonel Bert says, if you wanted something completely, to completely disappear or be forgotten by the franchise, what would it be?
The Brazilian comic.
Yes. Oh, God, yes. We need that thing to just completely be destroyed.
I don't mind some of the characters. I just don't like the way it's written, the way it's characterizes certain things, and I'll get into that when I make my video on it, but it's not worth a read. Read the Archie comics if you're looking for a comic book to read, or, Ariga's Mega Mix.
Felipe says Dark Souls takes place on the basketball timeline of Twilight Princess after Ganon won. It's on the book.
Oh my god. You guys are crazy.
You telling me Ganon was ballin'?
Alright, so this first phase of the fight is weak to water balloon. Without the cannon, Wily still has some attacks up his sleeve, but not very many. And with water balloon's speed of fire, it kind of makes him a non-issue. And just like that, we're down to the capsule. And all we need for this is Flashbomb. Like that, we've got 32 of these too, so it's not too hard to just...
I'm sad they never brought that back.
What, the capsule?
No, the counter on your weapons.
Yeah, that would be really cool to see in the next one.
I mean, look at the HUD for it is just gorgeous. You have Mega Man's live counter, and then you have the counter for the amount of pieces left. I just think it would be a good addition to 12 if it ever, becomes canon.
I mean, they did license the website recently for 12 through 15, so more than likely they're in development. But
Whoopee.
probably not very far along. I'd say we're.
Yay.
Felipe says that time you went to your friend's house to see him beat Twilight Princess, but he died and you went to play basketball. That's a timeline that got us Dark Souls.
I see. Yeah, I didn't play Twilight Princess. I have Twilight Princess HD, but I've never actually beaten it. Didn't really play it.
I've been playing through Twilight. It's pretty fun.
And just like that, the evil energy has acted on its own. What was left in the cart. And it attacked Megaman as the castle came crumbling down. While he escaped, I feel like there was supposed to be more of a cutscene there. Duo made it out alive and has been looking for Rock here. And pulls the evil energy out of his heart.
This is not good. He's been
Or
affected
core,
by the evil
whatever you
energy.
want to call it.
He will die soon.
Oh boy.
I just still think that's kind of wild that Duo comes back in the alternate timeline and tries to destroy the Earth.
Well, I mean, we'll get to that when we do Battle Network 4 when the Legacy Collection comes out. It's only like a month away, which is really nice.
Saved.
Yeah. Felipe says, and the game has Midna, and that forgives a lot.
I suppose, if you
I can see
want.
into your mind.
Foxino says, I played Twilight Princess, it was pretty fun. Felipe says, or a boss against a giant evil demon from space.
Yeah. Here we see clips from other events, because Duo, in healing Mega Man, is reading through his memory banks and looking at any and all of the events that are happening. Things he did in Mega Man's 7, 2 for Game Boy, other titles. And with that, evil energy is mostly destroyed. There's still some on Earth, and Duo is going to take care of that. We're not going to get to that in our first run. We're going to double back for it. So, for all of the side games, don't worry. I got videos planned for them. They'll be fun streams, I'm sure. Especially because I plan on doing Battle and Chase, Power Battles, and Battle and Fighters. Or Power Fighters. Power Battles, Power Fighters, and Battle and Chase.
He's going to
That
be
was really
okay.
fun, though, playing
He will
Battle
regain
Fighters.
consciousness.
Oh, it'll be fun when we do it, because
My
we're going to be
job
doing
is done.
2-player, we're going to do all
must
of the
go.
stories for each game,
I'll
and
leave
then
Megaman up to
showing
you.
off the Neo Geo version, and then immediately hopping into Battle and Chase for the ending of that stream.
But
It'll probably take up most of the time.
there's one more thing.
So-
Felipe says, a playable version of Roll would be nice on Mega Man 12.
That would be really, really cool.
Wake up! Wake up, Megaman!
Proto Man brought Rock back to Dr. Light's lab. Duo headed back out into space to scan for the rest of the evil energy. And everybody celebrates, because Wily's been stopped once again.
Am I alive?
Yes, you are. Duo saved you.
Duo.
Oh, Chronobird says, I read the first chapter of the Star Force manga. Kind of put him off. Does it get better? If you want to experience Star Force, just play the games.
What is it?
The games are good. The mangas get better, yes. So does the anime. The anime gets pretty good too. But As far as Star Force is concerned, just play the games. I did the Ultimate Guide Part 2 that I made actually covers Battle Network and Star Force, and I cut them up into sections for each game.
Thank you.
And,
Duo.
yeah, no, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with Star Force 1 through 3, especially with how good they are, and how well told their stories are. Especially character-wise. Especially if you like character drama, because it deals with a lot of heavy personal topics. But that's that. That was Mega Man 8. That was the final cutscene. We are now on to the contest winners and the credits. So here's the Dr.WAHWEE prize. Swordman
It's
won.
a corkboard.
Swordman won the one contest. There's his original sketch in low res. We get higher res images of these in the Legacy Collection. This is the lovely version of Clown Man that I absolutely adore the look of. There's how Searchman was. Frostman, which was a contest design from Mega Man 6. This design showed up in the Nintendo Power issue. There's Grenade Man. When I mentioned the designs for these coming in as contest winners, I'd also like to state that sometimes the dev team would enter anonymously because they wanted to see their idea in the game, and they knew they wouldn't get a say in it, so they would just submit in the contest and see if they would win under pseudonyms. I don't know if any of these were pseudonyms. I don't know if anybody actually won of that, but that was a factoid that came out when Mega Man 11 was doing its promotional run. So there's a little fact for you.
Let's see here. Maokai says thank you very freaking much for playing this Mega Man game. This is my favorite franchise right here. Blessings be.
Well, thank you, Malachi. I'm glad you enjoyed my playthrough of it. I hope to entertain and impress you with Mega Man 7 through the rest of the series, including the X games.
Felipe says, Clown Man be ballin' and Aquaman had a glow up.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Oh my gosh.
Here's some of the other contests runner-ups. I think these are really interesting. I don't believe any of them actually showed up in the game, or like in the collection's artwork pieces, but I would really hope someday we get these scanned because these look so interesting.
Felipe says hi Inafune.
Oh yes,
Who?
Kinda glad Inafune is not working on Mega Man franchise anymore, but that is just my personal thoughts on the matter.
Who?
The guy who was the director for nearly, most of the
was-
franchise.
I was roasting Inafune by going through.
Don't roast Inafune.
Chronobird says, I have played the games, and that's why I asked. Thank you for the recommendation, though. I am playing through the DX version of Star Force 1. Thank you for the stream.
Ah, yes. Well, no problem. Feel free to subscribe, stick around. Check out my Ultimate Guide to Mega Man 1 and 2 if you want to learn about some of the more obscure parts of Mega Man lore, and, hear some newcomers' thoughts on the franchise. I'm sure it'll get more interesting the longer I do this.
Felipe said, I kind of liked Mighty Number 9.
Agreed. I will get to that in the Ultimate Guide Part 3, and I'm sure I'll do a playthrough of it for the channel later this year, so...
Not gonna lie, Mighty Number 9 is really good. I like it.
It's not bad. It needs some tweaks, but it's not bad, and I honestly think if fans could do some of those tweaks on the PC version, we might have the ultimate version of Mighty Number 9 right there. Just saying.
Well, then what about Gunvolt?
Mighty Gunvolt's not bad. Neither of them are, but I don't really have much of a saying in that. So, once again, more stuff I'll talk about in a future video.
That is a cute drawing.
It is. I think we do have a high-res version of this one as well. And just like that, we're back to the title screen. And that was Mega Man 8, everybody. Brought to you by the Legacy Collection 2. If you want to pick this up, it is on sale. but I am not affiliated with Capcom in any way. So, let me get the ending screen up here. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, subscribe, all that jazz. We'll be doing Mega Man 7 next week, along with 6, and I've got an upload, so that's all good stuff. You can follow me on Twitter at GavinDragonYT. You can also find links for all of the Discord, Telegram, and Twitter down below. We also have a PayPal where you can donate. Yeah, there will be links on your screen whenever this video gets done processing. But I have been your humble host, and I will see you guys next week. Good night, everybody.